Welcome back, fam. I'm Chase Tootin. This is Rango Dango Reads, episode three? Yes, episode three. Uh, this episode is going to be about The Way of Kings, the first book in the Silverlight, I believe, archive. Stormlight archive. Yes, I always say Silverlight. I don't know why. It's the Stormlight archive. Oh, if you hear anything, it's probably dogs jumping on the door. Perhaps a cat. Who knows? So, this was the first book I decided to read in January of this year. I went to Barnes& and Noble, was looking for some books, wanted one of a series, and this one stuck out to me. It's fantasy, fictional, of course, but it's it's set in, I believe, like 1100, in a Earth hybrid planet universe. Uh, it's over 1,000 pages. Very good, very detailed. Brandon Sanderson does a chef's kiss job in world building. Um, it's separated into multiple different books, not like the Chronicles of Narnia master set, but multiple books, different parts. Each part in each book, well, each part follows different characters. But the main ones we'll touch on are Dolinar, Colin, Josh Colin, and Kalinar, I believe. There's a lot of names, and these are kind of what I remember for the most part, but the gist of the book is proper. Um, so it starts out with a bang, and I don't want to spoil this. It's a fabulous read. It took me all of a month. I mean, I got sucked into it. I was not a huge reader before this. This book really made me thoroughly enjoy reading. It was all I could think about when I was reading it. It's right up my alley as far as genre goes. It's very well written. Uh, it it incorporates a lot of different aspects. There's military, there's slavery, there's I guess you could say magic, alchemy, I guess. Uh, and there's no there's learning, there's knowledge. So that is probably anyway, we'll get into this. So it starts out with a bang. In the beginning, this guy, he goes in and just he uses his powers. He's climbing on walls, distorting gravity, basically, distorting perception. He's his up is down, their left is right. It's kind of crazy. And so he just goes through boom, 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 just like snakes this guy with his sword. Absolutely incredible. Right. So he does all this. And then we're talking about Kolinar, and he's this guy he's this slave. Okay. And the whole book is about basically about him being a slave. He's one of the main characters. I'm sure he's gonna pop off in a book to come. And I hope he does because from what his backstory is and what he currently is doing, he's far exceeding what a slave is. He's basically changing the mentality of all these other slaves as like life is over, this is what it is. Don't care if we die type of thing. To now, he's gotten them desiring life. He's gave them something to fight for. Okay, so this is one story. There's multiple storylines that all converge into one. Very well written. Um, and he progressively he ends up becoming their leader, and he takes them on uh, through these bridge runs. Their Bridge Crew 4, and he takes them on these bridge runs, and eventually he gets them into basically scavenge duty and scavenge, yes, duty, and they're picking through the pockets of the dead soldiers, um, of the dead opponents, and they're getting these well, the money, the spheres. So their money is spheres infused with light, and they have like diamond, ruby, emerald, um, different gems, and they have different denominations. And But these light that you can suck the light out and use them as power. And that's basically the concept of this whole book. That's one of the main themes in this book is being able to use the light from the spheres as power. Okay. In my previous review on the Hall of Mosses, I talked about spirituality. This book also is kind of alluding to spirituality. It's sucking the light and being able to use it for power. Um, if you take that into a spiritual idea, you can, let's just say you take the sun as power. Okay, that energizes you, right? So the light, it's energizing them in a sense and allowing them to do things they can't normally do. And this holds true with Kolinar. Gosh, I believe that's his name. Just disregard the names. The story holds up, but the names are shaky to me somewhat. Okay. So it ends up that he has this past where he's done these amazing things as um, a squadron leader in this war that they're all fighting. It's been about a 6 year war. They're fighting on the plateaus, and that's the goal is for all these militaries to get to the plateaus. Um, and they're basically all, and they're not even hardly fighting just their opponent. They're just trying to kill these chasm fiends to get these gem hearts because they're worth a butt ton of money. All right, and so. But then there are certain people who see this as like, what are we doing? What's the point? This is just a never-ending war. And there's rifts between the different princes in this kingdom. Okay. Uh, so Dolinar is a high prince. His nephew is the king, and his nephew is the son of the king who died in the first, like in the very opening of the book, got slaughtered. Okay, this is years before this. All right, so now this nephew who's very paranoid thinks his uncle Dolinar is coming after him, and Kaladin, not Kolinar, the guy's name is Kaladin. Okay, goes by Cal. Right, so but Dolinar, he has this thing, the Way of Kings, this book that his brother, the previous king, was reading and obsessed with before he died. And it basically it tells you kind of like how you should live, how you should fight, how you should carry yourself. And basically, it's saying kings should rule their people like this, and not just basically as a leader, but as a participant as well. Like, I shouldn't have my people do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And that's a big thing with it. Okay. So he ends up having these visions, and from the outside looking in, these people think he's going crazy. He starts talking about these visions, he starts believing these visions, and it all goes back to the Way of Kings. Now, he doesn't know if these visions are real. Okay? He doesn't know if these visions are real, but then the more he has them, the more he realizes, oh wait, it's basically like a lucid dream almost. So when he's in these trances, it's like a lucid dream. He's able to maneuver himself. He's able to experience what happened. He takes on basically the life of another person in that moment, and it is goes way back, and it follows the lore of the story. Now, they all have shard blades and shard plates. Not all, okay, not all of them, but certain people have shard blades and shard plates. Okay, these shard blades, um, they basically, without severing, let's say they don't sever the leg, they sever the life in the leg. Okay, so you can still have your leg, but it's going to be limp. It's just going to be walking, right? So these shard blades are immensely powerful. And the shard plates can take ridiculous damage, and they basically make you 10 times more powerful than the average man, make you way faster, jump way higher. Uh, basically like the shoes in the Sandlot. Fabulous film, by the way. Check it out if you haven't. Right? So these shard plates make you so much stronger. Okay, some people have just a shard blade, some people have just a shard plate, some people have the full set. And it's basically saying the shard plates and the shard blades basically come from these gods from the past. Gods among men, essentially. And I cannot think of what they're called, but it's said that they basically like came down from the heavens. Okay. Um, similar to you could compare them similar to angels, to archangels, I guess, in a sense. not entirely, but kind of similar. Um, so he goes through these visions and experiences. Like he sees different things. He sees what happened in the past. He sees kind of what is to come in the future. He hears voices. Okay, just like in Hall of Mosses, when there was, it's the isolation, and she's hearing these telepathic communications. She's hearing these things essentially through the form of meditation. That's to me, I take this, and maybe it's because of what, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Maybe that's where my mindset is, right? Maybe that's how I perceive things. This perception, that's how is my reality. That's how I'm perceiving it. But it's like it's a meditation, and he's able to hear these voices when he gets in this form of meditation, when he goes in these trances, and it's always during storms. Okay? Stormlight makes sense, right? It's always during storms that he goes in these trances. And so he's trying to get his people to live a certain way. He wants to connect the kingdoms. That's his whole goal. Connect the kingdoms, basically make all the high princes work together for the one king as opposed to fighting for themselves. And so that's basically his whole goal. And it escalates in this book. Uh, and it's the first book of a 10 book series. There's five that are written and out currently. This is just the first one. I cannot wait to read the second one. All right. But so that's basically his story. Then we get to his niece, Jasna Colon. Okay. And she is this soul caster, which you basically have a rune and you can use Stormlight and abilities to manipulate the elements, different elements. Some people can manipulate blood, some can manipulate rock, some have different powers entirely. Um, and I won't even touch on her like handmaiden the girl. It does become a big part in the story, but it's semi unnecessary. What really got me was Jasna, where she claims to be a Versatalian, I believe, something along those lines. And basically, what it means is in this lore is that she is not researching to research; she's researching to find truth. And this really struck a chord with me because I'm currently on the path of knowledge. I'm always looking to find truth. I'm always asking questions, right? I tell my students to always ask questions, question everything, regardless of who tells you, question everything. Okay. Um, and even Buddha said, question everything. Even if I say it, don't necessarily believe it unless you've experienced it for yourself. Okay, so her whole goal is to find truth. So she does all this research to try to pinpoint what is true and what is false. And I think this is more necessary in the grand scheme of life than almost anything else, right? This is to me, this is the most important part of this book. This is where it turns from fantasy to reality. Okay? She is a scholar and her goal is to find truth. We need to find truth in this world, in the real world, right? Finding truth should be our goal. We should not take anything at face value. We should always search for truth. Okay? That really changed my perspective, right? I said Hall of Mosses, and I'll constantly compare books I'm reviewing in a sense. Hall of Mosses changed my perspective. Golly gee, these P words changed my perspective on nature and things of that sort, right? This book really made me think like, man, I do need to study more. I need to become more of a scholar. I need to search more for truth. I need to continue the path that I'm on, but dive even deeper. Okay. And so that's what I took away from this book. I took away from it. Um, there's things that are meaningless, like this war for gem hearts, for no reason. What reason other than money? What's the point? And there's things that are very meaningful, like finding truth. She wanted to basically search for truth in her father's killing, why her father turned out to be the way he was, why he was like going crazy in the end, because her father was the king that died in the beginning. And so she spent all of her waking hours studying books of the past and um, and I think they were called like Deathbringers or something. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, they were basically like shadow fiends. These shadow beings that she was studying, and they were said to be in the same time as these, you know, immortal beings, these godlike figures, these archangel-esque um, warriors in the book that brought down the shard plate and the shard blades. Okay, so her whole thing is finding truth. That is the biggest thing we can take away from life. And this is one of the reasons why I think that this book resonated with me so much is because it really focused on finding truth. It showed many different perspectives, but in the end, even Dolinar, who's having these visions and reading the Way of Kings like his brother was, he's really searching for truth as well. Why is he having these visions? He's looking for the truth behind it. He's looking for the reason. He's not just saying, "Oh, I'm having these visions. It is what it is." He's diving deep. He's trying to do the work. He can't read in this universe. Men are not very um literate, so the women read to the men, right? But he has his servant or at some point his sister-in-law, former sister-in-law, read to him the Way of Kings so he can understand what's going on and more about what made his brother the way he was in the end. And so the whole concept of the book is essentially find truth. And so that's why it resonated with me so much. And there's plenty of other aspects to it, but that's how I perceive the book. So that's my reality. It's about finding truth. And I, as a review, honestly, I would give this book 10 out of 10. Mm, yeah, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I'm an easy grader. I loved it. I think y'all will love it. Um, I'll give it 10 chameleons. No, just kidding. It's a fabulous book. It's a wonderful read. It's tough because the words are small and the pages are long. They're like 500 words a piece per page. It's like a 500,000 word book. So it's long, but the content is fabulous. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Brandon Sanderson did a fabulous job, an excellent world builder, and I am absolutely stoked to read the second one. Mist Calling or something. Wind of Truth. I think it's called Wind of Truth. There you go. Finding truth. Truth blows in. All right, but anyway, that's my take on it. That's how I perceive it. So that is my reality. Perception is reality. That it will be my theme forever because it's true. It's true. Um, but this is I'm Chase Tootin. This has been Rango Dango Reads. Um, you know, if you liked us, fabulous. If not, thank you for giving me the opportunity and listening. Episode 4 will be on Faculty Lounge by some unnamed author lady. She'll be named in the next episode whenever I review Faculty Lounge, which I did enjoy. It was odd, but I enjoyed it. Um, so, yeah, that's that. Catch you next time.